So this is stuff that's just unthinkable. It would have been unthinkable not that long ago. A shocking video shows a crew of gun-wielding men storm through a Colorado apartment building overrun by the violent Venezuelan prison gang Trenda Aragua, which has overtaken multiple housing complexes in the area. And nobody's doing anything. Nobody's doing anything about it. There's problems. There's dark clouds on the horizon. In the clip obtained by Fox Denver, a group of heavily armed men, including 3 with handguns and 1 with a rifle, can be seen in surveillance video entering another troubled apartment complex in the Denver suburb of Aurora and breaking into a unit. The Aurora Police Department acknowledged it is aware that components of Trenda Aragua, the Venezuelan gang, are operating in Aurora, saying that the police force has been increasingly collecting evidence to show the gang is connected to crimes in the area. Yeah, geez, I wonder if the Venezuelan gang is connected to any crimes in the area. Who would have guessed that? I mean, geez, I wonder what would happen. I mean, you'd think they'd be on their best behavior, right? They wouldn't want to get into any trouble. The gang members from Venezuela wouldn't want to get into any trouble. I mean, just truly bizarre. But in any case, who would have guessed that the Venezuelan gang that crossed into the country illegally might commit crimes? I feel like you don't need to be an expert on like criminal. You don't need to be a criminologist. You don't need to be a law enforcement expert. You can just kind of go, oh, let's see, Venezuelan gang crosses into country illegally. Boy, I bet they're going to commit some crimes. Seems kind of obvious, doesn't it? I'm sure all they need is a hug, though. And it's probably something to do with systemic racism in the country that they just broke into 5 minutes ago. Probably something to do with that. Colorado City Council member fires back after governor's office dismisses armed gang takeover as imagination. Imagination. Huh, that's interesting. The office of Governor Jared Polis dismissed the armed gang apartment takeovers as imagination. It's just a figment of their imagination. That's all. That guy there holding the rifle, that guy there with the handgun, they're just figments of their imagination. Because this is, I guess, this is the gaslighting, right? That you need, right? If you have insane policies, if you turn everywhere into sanctuary and say, no, please come in, Venezuelan criminal gangs, I'm sure all you need is a hug and a social worker. I mean, when you have insane policies, right, and you refuse to back down one bit, I mean, I guess this is what you have to resort to, is just saying, no, it's not really happening. I mean, that sounds kind of familiar, doesn't it? You know, inflation, that's not really happening. Sure. All right, what's going on here? Democrat governor of Colorado, Jared Polis, dismissed outrage over a video showing what appears to be armed Venezuelan gang members in an apartment building as imagination, despite significant evidence, like video evidence of them walking around with guns in there and clearly being Venezuelan gang members. Aurora City Council member Danielle Jurinsky fired back after the governor's denial, saying, I am so disappointed. It is disappointing. In a statement shared to the New York Post, Polis's spokeswoman Shelby Wyman claimed the governor has already let the mayor know that the state is ready to support the local police department with assistance from state troopers and the Colorado Bureau of Investigation if needed. But according to police intelligence, this purported invasion is largely a feature of Danielle Jurinsky's imagination. Again, it's just imagination land. She just has a rich, all those tenants in those buildings, they just have these rich, vibrant imaginations that they've just conjured the Venezuelan criminal gangs out of, because they just like creating, because they're so creative, because they're so imaginative. Isn't it wonderful how rich and vibrant their imaginations are? This is the gaslighting that you can expect. It reminds me of the old joke from the Soviet Union. They pretend to pay us and we pretend to work. Where once you get into the far left crazy policies and you just start, your entire philosophy is just a giant lie, right? Well, what do? You just ignore it. You just pretend it doesn't exist. You can't take a step back or else you'd be fascist, right? You can't ever say that of any insane far left policy that regarding economics, policing, whatever, you can't ever say, oh, maybe this thing isn't working. Maybe the crazy thing that we did isn't working. Maybe the whole sanctuary city, sanctuary state thing isn't working. You can't do that. Any step backwards, any step to not even, it's not even a step to the right. It's just not to move any further left. That makes you a fascist, apparently. That makes you one of the bad guys from World War II. So that's what they have to do, just gaslighting. They're not going to stop. They're progressives, didn't you know? They're going to keep progressing. You know, I'm not sure the word progress means what it used to either. Seems like the meanings of a lot of words are changing these days. Received this from a follower in Aurora, Colorado. His truck was shot up in the middle of the night in a random drive-by attack. This occurred just a few miles from the apartment complex that was taken over by a violent Venezuelan gang. Crime in this city has skyrocketed. It has skyrocketed. Let's take a look at this. Wow, that's awesome. That's awesome. They're doing a great job there. Wow, fantastic. But don't worry. These are imaginary bullet holes, right? The governor's convinced of it. It's imagination. But why don't the lefties ever tell you? They did. I'm pretty sure the lefties never mentioned anything. Leftist politicians never mentioned anything about Venezuelan gangs taking over where they live. They don't mention that for some reason. It's so weird, right? It's so weird because I kind of feel like no matter how woke you are, you're kind of still not gonna like 100% enjoy it. Oh, we had this wonderful Venezuelan gang move into our apartment complex. Oh, we feel so diverse now. Well, we are scared of them. That's true. And they are extorting money out of us and doing drive-bys. But it's so wonderfully diverse. I feel so empathetic being terrified every minute of the day.
Every day when we come home, we have to do this. Every time we go outside to take out the garbage, every time we try to go to bed at night, we have to keep it like this so nobody can kick in the door.
It feels like there's a solution to this. And that solution might be say no. Don't let them in. And when they catch them, kick them out. Kick them out again with, extreme prejudice. Seems to be a solution to this. Seems like you don't actually have to live like this. I wonder who she voted for, though. I wonder. What's going on here? Colorado Governor Jared Polis says the viral videos of armed Venezuelan gangs taking over apartment buildings is just a figment of the imagination of local leaders. It's their rich, fertile imaginations. That's all. Former apartment resident Cindy Romero absolutely destroys Polis. Well, let's see here. So here's from a former resident of the building who doesn't seem very happy about things. Let's see.
Councilwoman Jurinsky, who has been amazing. My first conversation with her, she said, do you still live there? And I said, yes. And she said, I'm going to get you out of there.
Wow. So
she said, I'm going to make it my work.
So you're singing her praises. In the meantime, the office of Governor Jared Polis is saying she's making all of this up. Listen to what his spokesman said. According to police intelligence, this purported invasion, I guess, of these apartment buildings is largely a feature of Danielle Jurinsky's imagination. What do you say to that?
You can't fake video, and Polis wouldn't last 5 minutes on that property.
Wow. Here's
Not
what
5 minutes.
Here's what Danielle said about it. Listen to this.
I absolutely did not make any of this up. I love that that is how our governor has quickly rushed in to say that that's the actual problem here. But the actual problem here are his weak policies that have turned this state into a breeding ground for this gang activity.
Cindy, why do you think the governor's office has got its head stuck firmly in the sand over this issue?
They don't want to admit that they're part of the problem. It's the administration who we count on to make the rules for us, to make the guidelines that we go by. I call 911, no help comes from me. No help. There's no mass amounts of police that show up to make sure that we're defended. Nobody showed up to help me. I didn't have a bulletproof vest. I didn't have 5 officers showing up with me whenever there was a problem. We were on our own and we were left to die.
Wow.
These people have no registration in this country.
Yeah, and we should point out that the scenes that you're seeing on the right-hand side of the screen there, those were taken from Cindy's Ring doorbell or video doorbell while she was inside her apartment. You can imagine what it was like living there. Cindy, God bless you. We're glad you got out.
Thank you so much. I am so grateful every day that I got out.
So how do you know that the people that you've elected to run your country, to run your state, to run your city, that the people you've elected, how do you know when they hate you? What would be some good evidence that they hate you? Might it be sending Venezuelan gangs to terrorize you? What has Trump got to say about it? Let's see what Trump has to say about it.
Colorado today, did you see that? Where Venezuelan gang members have taken over parts of the city. They've taken over apartment houses because these stupid people that we have leading our country are allowing these people, these criminals, to come into our country, and we're going to get them the hell out of here. And this is just the beginning. Wait till you see what happens. Wait till you see what they're doing.
Okay, he's orange. All right, and he tweets mean things. But he doesn't want to send Venezuelan gangs to terrorize you at your home, right? He's against that. That should really be enough. Just that alone should be enough. Anyway, that's all I'm going to say about that. Please like, share, and subscribe. Subscribing really helps me out. I thank you for that. I will see you next time.